Hi, I'm Brent Cowan, and I'm running for mayor of the city of Pointe Claire. I'm here in the offices of the suburban newspaper to respond to this request for a brief video presentation and answer the following questions that I've just been given a few minutes earlier. The first question is, what are your top priorities for improving roadwork infrastructure in Pointe Claire? Good question. It is interesting that knocking on doors in Pointe Claire, the number one issue that is coming to me has been road work. And the conditions of the roads have been the principal concern of everybody that I've been knocking on the doors to meet, except for the people that were suffered from the recent flooding from the tremendous rainstorms we've had over the last 2 years. Now, we already spend money on roads. We spend a significant amount of money on road work every year. It is evident that this is probably not enough. We need to be covering more of the road network every year. This is going to require a major decision on the part of council to spend, if we're going to spend more money on roads and more money on flood water mitigation, it's got to come from somewhere. This is going to be a very difficult and in-depth decision that council will have to make. And to make that decision, we're going to have to reorganize and improve the way council functions. We're going to have to create a harmonious consultative decision-making process so that councillors can do their job. They can get feedback from their constituents about relative priorities so that we can prepare the citizenry and get their feedback on how we're going to find the money to divert to road work and to flood water mitigation. That money has to come from somewhere. It comes from either cutting other services, it comes from raising taxes, which nobody's going to like, or it comes from increasing the tax base, which itself has important ramifications that the citizens we need to hear the citizens' input and then make a proper decision. The second question that I have before me now is, can you outline your vision for future development in Pointe Claire? Future development in Pointe Claire will have to respect one incredibly important criteria, and that is that it conserves the family-friendly quality of life that Pointe Claire citizens have enjoyed all these years. And there's one way, I think, in urban planning, in the lexicon of urban planning concepts, to make this happen, and that is to respect human scale. We need to make sure that any development that comes to Pointe Claire will not dominate, will not tower over the current housing that we have there, and make the citizens feel small. That development will also have to obviously respect the environment and be integrated into our existing infrastructure. And that will be a major consideration for any development going forward, is that it will not impose problems and that will affect our quality of life. An example of things we can do to prepare for that would be what I've been pushing is smart traffic signaling along Saint-Jean and des Sources Boulevard to make sure that we sense the traffic that's converging on these two major arteries, and traffic signaling adjusts itself accordingly so that we keep traffic moving. And also another concern of citizens has been water infrastructure. We have to make sure that if new housing comes in, that the demands of the increased demand on water can be met, and in order to do that, we have to make sure that we have good quantitative data so that we are in a position, if a project comes in and it can be demonstrated that it's going to exceed our capacity to absorb, we can say no, or at least not yet. Now, the third question that I have before me is, how will you ensure meaningful public consultation on major projects? And what specific steps will you take to make sure residents' voices are heard? Another very important question. Public consultation, in my experience in the past, has been generally organized to be as an effort to say that you've gone through the step, you've ticked off the box of public consultation, but it hasn't really been organized to gather gather the insights that comes from the people that live in the city. Public consultation has also been often interpreted as a form of referendum, where people can come to a public consultation and try to express their points of view, and then point back at the consultation saying that we were there in the room and this is what the citizens want. But the decisions for public consultation come from council. So the purpose of public consultation is to gather information so that to give every citizen the opportunity to contribute their thoughts, their understandings of the particular issue at hand, and throw that into the mix for their councillors then to consider. The purpose of public consultation, in my view, is to allow the citizens this opportunity so that their voices are heard and that their voices then contribute to the decision-making that their elected representatives then make. So when I've been going door to door, one of the questions I've been asked frequently by citizens is, what would you do differently? And the answer is quite simple. In the 8 years that I've been on council, serving with both Mayors Belvedere and Mayor Thomas, one thing that never occurred is we never had a discussion in council to just determine what we were going to do for the 4 years of our mandate. I would think that common sense would say that is the first thing you would do, and that's the first thing I would do. I would sit down with whoever was elected to council and say, okay, ladies and gentlemen, what are we going to accomplish in the next 4 years? I would lay down my pamphlet that I've been distributing door to door, which outlines my program, and I'd say, okay, as a starting point, can we begin with this plan? And then we would discuss it, and we would outline we would synthesize the particular concerns and particular commitments that all the candidates had made, now councillors, had made over the course of the campaign. And we would synthesize that into a program. Now, it doesn't mean we'd all agree on everything, but it means we would agree on how we are going to proceed, and we would outline those policy points that would eventually come to a public vote, and we would all agree on how we were going to get there. And then when the vote occurred, let the chips fall where they may. And then we proceed however the result of that vote is, we proceed where the chips may fall. And then we proceed as friends and colleagues. Just because we disagree doesn't mean that we can't get on and do our jobs to serve the people of Pointe Claire and to the best of our abilities and in a harmonious and coherent fashion, something that the citizens of Pointe Claire have not really been able to see over the last 4 years. Thank you very much.